Hey, what's up guys? Shuckleking here, bringing you my draft analysis for the Champions of Galar. I am super stoked to be in this league. I don't think I've ever been in a league this competitive for Wi-Fi at least. It's going to be a fun time. Everyone in this is a champion of some sort in Gen 8 Wi-Fi, so hopefully we can pull out on top, but we'll see. It's going to definitely be very tough competition. Anyway, before we get into this, make sure you guys like the video if you enjoyed the content I'll be putting out this season, and hopefully give a subscription. I definitely appreciate everyone's support they've been giving me. I had a break for a while for a couple of months, but I've posted a bunch of videos recently, and this will be going up every week. Maybe have a special video once in a while for other Pokemon things I've done. So yeah, we're gonna hop right into this draft. Shout outs to Aquarius, Dr. Slacking, and Jack for running this whole league. They do a great job with it. And shout outs to who's been in my front office: Mario, 6 Foot Hacks, Harris, Nolly, Vepsis has helped out a little bit, Aquarius helped me out a little bit, so definitely appreciate everyone's support. Hayes as well. So yeah, it's gonna be a fun season. But we got 10th pick. That's the only unfortunate thing about it all. Yeah, so not the greatest position. It's only 14 teams, so it should be pretty easy to draft good teams because there's 14 instead of like 16 coaches or even greater than that. But I definitely do want to stand out and make sure I do really well this season. So I'll definitely be drafting things I'm pretty comfortable with, and I feel like I have pretty high successes that will do pretty well for me. So a quick overview of the draft. It's 1 to 20 point mon, so like the highest mon could be 20 points. That's a little bit more. Like a standard is like 18 points. So they had Mew, Dragapult, and Urshifu single strike as 20-point mons. Honestly, maybe Mew is fine at that price. I feel like the other two should be even more, honestly, but it's pretty decent pricing there if you're gonna allow to make them a little bit more expensive as opposed to just making them flat out 18 points. Because they're definitely better than the other 18-point mons. Then I think it was Zygarde and Tornadus-t in 19 point, and then 18 and below for everything else. So not a ton of mons that are in the 19-20 point tier, but a little bit. And this draft is 115 points for 10 to 12 mons. It's a pretty large amount of points, I feel like. NCP did 120, and that felt like a lot. So maybe 115 will be a little bit more of a balanced approach. I mean, everyone has more broken teams in 120, so that's fine, but lower the amount of points generally rewards you better drafting skills. If you have more points, you can just get a lot of just good mons and just hope that works out. I feel like if you have a lower point value, that means it caters towards making sure you have a better cohesive team and not relying on just the large point value to do well. So we'll see. So it's like, if it's like 10 mons and it's 115 points, it's like 11.5 to 12 point mon for each 10 pick. So that's still a pretty sizable amount. And even if you go into the lower amount, it's like 9 to 10 points per month. So that's still not that bad. So looking at this draft, I broke it up into like 3 tiers of mons that I wanted. And so I did it as tier 1 being mons that I would have drafted, like based on the point value that they are. Mons that I would have drafted for even higher point value than what they're listed at. So that's not a ton of mons, but like I know, for example, that I didn't end up drafting was Talonflame was 9 points, and I know I definitely would draft Talonflame for more than 9 points in a regular league that's 18 points. I'd probably draft for like 11-ish or so. So like if it's already lower than the point value for an 18 max league, then if it's at 20, that's an even greater value. So I definitely highlighted some mons there. Tier 2 would be mons that I would draft at that point value. So again, things are generally should be slightly up tiered if the highest point is 20 points instead of an 18 point tier. So if I would have drafted that mon at that price value for a normal 18 point league, then I think that's also pretty decent value. And then tier 3 is everything else, which is obviously a high percentage in the mons. So ideally I try to draft everything in either that tier 1 or tier 2 of mons that I feel like are pretty or excellent value, and that's what I generally do. I don't always favor fit. I mean, if fit really has to come into play, then I'll draft it. Or if like a lot of things that I want to fulfill a role are all been drafted that are better valued, then I'll take it, but it wouldn't be preferred. So hopefully I draft everything that I think has pretty good value or even is undervalued. Yeah, so that's basically it. So I got 10th pick and wasn't expecting to get anything from the 20 or 19 point tiers. Honestly, wouldn't have gotten Zygarde. I don't think I would have gotten Zygarde at pick 10 if it lasted there, because I don't think it's that great for 19. I probably value it towards like 16 or 17 points, honestly. It's threatening, but you need a lot more support for it. So, but like Tornadus or any of the 20 point mons, I expect it would have been gone. Like Mew, Dragapult, and Urshifu. So that was definitely the case. So I was hoping I was going to get something decent, like a Victini, Latios, Tapu Koko, like around pick 10. But I honestly lied. This is the only mon that I didn't have rated in my tier 1 or tier 2 of mons, because this mon is generally valued at 18 points. And it was valued at 19 in this draft. And I did not think it was going to last at all. And that's tornadus-t. And that's kind of funny, because I just drafted tornadus-t for my NTP run. You guys can go check out. I just posted my whole success there, or failure. You'll have to watch the video series to find out how well I did in it. But yeah, tornadus-t at pick 10. And honestly, this mon is, in like the showdown community, is regarded as maybe the best mon in the format, even higher than Mew, which I wouldn't agree with. And that's on the basis of that Urshifu and Dragapult are generally banned, not always, but usually banned. I feel like Urshifu nowadays is probably more banned than Dragapult. But yeah, outside of those two mons, and I think Mew is better than tornadus-t, but tornadus-t or Mew is usually regarded as like the best mon in the format. So to be able to get it at pick 10, I thought was kind of nuts. And I know why people don't want to draft it is because you have to rely on Hurricane, and people don't want to rely on Hurricane, and that's definitely fair. But as I showed with tornadus-t in my run, I had a game where I missed 2 Hurricanes, a Heat Wave, and an Icy Wind. But the fact was, I was able to go for 2 Hurricanes and miss, Heat Wave and miss, and an Icy Wind and miss, and still be alive in that battle and win it pretty convincingly. So like, Tornadus is just great because you can fire off moves, and if you miss whatever, you just switch out, regain more health, and then maybe set up another opportunity later on in the game. Especially with Boots. Boots is just such a great boon for this mon. Just be able to switch out, regenerate health, and not worry about taking rocks damage. Because it was usually negated. Regenerator plus Stealth Rocks would be about the same health, but now you're gaining significantly more health with Torn. So you have more opportunities to fire off attacks, gain momentum with U-turn, and now it even has Nasty Plot, so it could definitely break teams down. So hopefully I'll be able to do that with this mon. I'm very happy it lasted to pick 10. Understand why it lasted, but I think I'm going to do very well with it. So my next, and I felt like this was the 4th best mon, so why wouldn't? It'd be hard to pass on. I think Mew, Dragapult, and Urshifu went first 3 picks, so not surprising there. Pick 2. So again, because I'm 10th in the first, that means I'm the 5th pick in the second, like in the even rounds. So it was how many picks? 8 picks in between. So not quite a wheel. It's like, this is like middle-ish of the draft, but I was pretty okay with it because there were like 10, 11 mons I would have been pretty satisfied with. And one of those 10, 11 mons lasted to round 2 that I'd be pretty satisfied with. This mon was listed as 17 points, and I would draft it for probably 17 points in standard. So it's like tier 2 mon right here, but I feel like a super versatile, and that is Clefable. Both these mons don't kill steals, and that's like the really only downside. Like they can, like Tornadus can go for Nasty Plot Focus Blast will hurt. Clefable has like Life Orb Fire Blast, so they can definitely do damage, but it's definitely not their preference, so I'll have to fix that later. But Clefable's just a really, really nice sponge, both physically and specially defensive. Generally you want to be physically defensive to take on fightings, but in this instance, Tornadus is pretty sufficient to take on fighting types, and Tornadus can also run AV at a pinch. It's probably not preferred in this gen just because boots are so good, but Clefable can also run special defensive. So I have 2 pretty decent pivots. And Clefable's the benefit of being able to recover reliably and not take statuses, and Torn obviously recovering health for free without clicking a move. So yeah, I like this bulky combination I have for the first 2 picks. Clefable also sets up rocks pretty reliably, though I don't know how often I'd want to do that. I feel like I'd want it to be more of like a cleric role or a Calm Mind Sweeper even, or just a general pivot that has a lot of options, maybe sets Toxics a lot. So yeah, you guys know what Clefable does. Pretty standard. I'm pretty happy it lasted round 2, like early round 2. It honestly would have been like my 9th, 10th best mon. So like it was definitely an option to pick in round 1 if it still lasted and like all my options were picked. I want to go on with Clef turn 1, or round 1. Downside is because this league is level 50, the bulk is slightly worse. So like you take slightly more damage with your moves at level 50 versus level 100. So Clefable is slightly weaker in this type of Wi-Fi format at level 50, but it still does the role really well. Also, it's unaware in boots. I had this mon when I won EWT with Clefable, Rotomosh, Snorlax, Aegislash. So hopefully I'm going to be able to fulfill this mon, do it even better justice than I did in that league. So pick 3, again, there's a lot of picks in between, so it's 18 versus 8. So there's a lot more, you can call them snipes. I can't really call them snipes, so there's 18 picks in between. There's a lot of mons that could be picked. So I would have loved to have Necrozma or Excadrill as stayed. I considered Excadrill in this spot. Gen 6 Sand plus Torn was like maybe one of the best draft league combos out there. So I definitely considered Excadrill over Clefable, but it's hard to pass on Clefable. If Clefable wasn't there, I probably would have gone Excadrill and gone the Sand route. But anyway, no, I went with Clef, but like Necrozma went, Weavile went, Excadrill went, Gengar went. They all would have been mons I would have loved to have picked for round 3. But there was another mon that I was super surprised that it lasted. I valued as it was valued for 16 points in this league, and this is a tier 1. I'd probably pay 17 points, similar to Clefable, for this mon in like a normal 18-point league, and that's Hydreigon. I was super shocked that it lasted as long as it did. I think Leo probably would have picked it. Otherwise, I don't think it really would have made sense in anyone else's team behind me, but I didn't want to risk it. He said he probably would have taken it if it lasted, so I guess I had to take it. The pick 4, I feel like was going to probably get picked by someone else, but it ended up not getting picked, but I'll talk about it in a bit. But yeah, Hydreigon. This is another mon I had in the NCP run with Torn. This mon is nice because it takes on electric types that Torn does not want to handle. So Clefable plus Hydreigon is a nice combination to take on electrics. They're both weak to ice, which is definitely problematic. And Clefable's like okay in that role, but it doesn't take like Specscurum ice beams. It takes Dracos, but it won't take ice beams. So I do have to find a better ice resist later on. And Hydreigon's not the best to kill steals. Again, it has Earth Power, it has Nasty Plat now this gen, it has Fire Blast, so it definitely has ways to kill steals, but it's definitely not a preference, but pretty decent. Choice Scarf user, Torn doesn't really want to run Scarf, same with Clefable, so nice to have that really high speed control. Would have been nice if it's over base 100, but this mon would probably be like an 18-point mon for over base 100 speed, honestly. But a way to kill bulky Psychics, Momentum, another Defog user to pair with Torn. Not that I'm not worried about Defog, because Clefable is unaware, or Magic Guard anyway. It could be physical in a pinch, but probably wants to be special a lot. Kind of have 3 primary special attackers here, so maybe I want to get more physical attackers later on, but yeah, very happy that Hydreigon still lasted. Hydreigon plus Torn I feel like is a really, really nice combination. So pick 4, again, there's only 8 picks in between, and I was sure that Vepsis was going to get this Granite Poison, but he went with Nidoking instead. And Nidoking honestly probably would have fit pretty well with this team. It can go physical, which would have been nice with the combination I have here, but I feel like this Poison Snipe is just flat out better. And it's also my tier 1 of mons that I feel like definitely should have been more points than what it was. It was priced at 14. I feel like it's a really solid 15-point mon in like standard draft. And that mon is Galar Slowking. I think it was valued at like 11 or 12 points when it was first incepted. In the draft league, when Isle of Armor, probably. I think it was the DLC. I didn't play any of them. I didn't even beat Sword and Shield, spoilers. I still got to beat the final boss in the game. I think I beat everyone else in the Elite Four, and there was some cutscene I didn't play. But anyway, Galar Slowking. Yeah, this mon is just so good. Yet again, another Pokemon from my NCP run. At least I have Clefable, so I didn't copy it for word. And I'm also kind of copying Vepsis' NCP draft, because he also had Hydreigon, Tornadus, and Galar Slowking. So, yeah, it's definitely an interesting combination here. But yet a second Regenerator Endermon to go with Torn. Also takes special hits really well. It just takes any hit, especially if you put like a Shuckleberry on it or a Colbur Berry. It can't die to any hit, honestly. Unless if it doesn't have that berry and it's like a very strong physical attack, Galar Slowking's going to live any hit. And his base 110 special attack. It's not like it's super passive either. Yeah, so this mon is just really nice. It turns out to be a really, really solid pivot in OU and in general. And I think it's also going to be a very solid pivot in this. So first moment out, Momentum, because Clefable has Teleport, and both Torn and Hydreigon have U-turn, but I don't really need momentum with a Galar Slowking. You can run AV, you can run 3 attacks plus slack off, you can run 2 attacks, slack off, and a setup move. You have a lot of options. Doesn't have Toxic, which would have been nice with Slowking, but I'm definitely pretty okay with it. So for pick 5, I'm down to 49 points. So I'm already getting pretty low with points, and I have to draft at least 6 more Mons. That's like 8 points a Mon left for the next 6. So I wanted to go that route. Or I go probably a little bit more like an overall build and get like maybe 2 more somewhat expensive Mons. Maybe 3, but we'll see. There is Mons, a couple Mons I got picked that I would have liked. Keldeo would have been nice, even though it's another special attacker. Buzzwole, I feel like would have been perfect, and it was priced pretty low in this. It just would have been another solid, bulky fighting type. Definitely would have liked. I definitely want a fighting type because Galar Slowking's another weakness of it is it doesn't kill steals. So that's 4 Pokemon I don't kill steals right now. So yeah, the 5th Mon that will kill steals, and it also sniped Vepsis, who's right behind me, is Mienshao. Mienshao also has base 105 speed, which will outspeed base 100, which is great. I can just slap a Choice Scarf on this mod, U-turn, knock off, close combat, poison jab, or stone edge, and like just run this every week. And honestly, it'll be fine. Now, I have run other sets with Mienshao in the past. I used it in LD, like I had a Sword Stance Koba set, the Lord Tornadus-t, and beat a 1v1. So like, there's definitely creativity you could have on Mienshao. Reckless High Jump Kick is a really fun set, and I'm 100% running that at some point this season. Choice Banded, Reckless High Jump Kicks, what's going to switch in? Ghost types. So if they don't have a Ghost type, you better watch out. Because I don't know if your Psychic wants to take a U-turn or a knockoff. So yeah, Mienshao really solid. Can set up Sword Stances as well. Another Regenerator Mon. It's a lot frailer, obviously, but 3 Regenerator Mons and 4 Momentum Mons. It's just totally different my NCP team, where there wasn't a lot of momentum and just a lot of like pretty hard hitters. I feel like the hitters aren't as strong on this. Mienshao and Hydreigon hit pretty hard, but nothing on the line to like Latios or Dormanitan. But I feel like just like the core of this together, it works really well. I think that also Vepsis had this in his NCP team, so definitely funny. Valued at 12 points, and I would draft it for 12 points in standard. So this is like a tier 2 Mon. For my standards, it fits just really well. Pick 6, I definitely wanted a steal at some point, and there weren't a lot of steals that were getting drafted. So I felt like I could have waited even more and more, but I really wanted to make sure I got this deal. I felt like it was in a tier 1 again for me. This was valued at 12 points, and I feel like it could go for 13. Pretty reliably an 18-point draft. Also, Crook got picked by Leo. I would have considered Crook on this team just for a really solid electric, resist, or immunity. Even though I would have 2 dark types and Hydreigon, I would be okay with that. For like bug types, I'm not too worried about. And fighting types, I'm not too worried about either. The Crook would have been cool, but Leo got it. But yeah, now I'm going to pick up a steal. I'm not going to wait on it. And it's another expensive Mon. So I'm down to 25 points for 4 to 6 months. That's Metagross. Metagross is cool. It can run Weakness Policy, Agility, 3 attacks, and sweep teams. I like that capability. I almost got swept by it in the NCP 20. Maybe I did. Again, check the series out to see if it happened or not. But Metagross is a second rocker. It has strong priority to go with, I guess, Fake Out Mienshao. It's not the strongest priority option. Metagross is a lot more reliable to like bullet punches. Again, similar to Slowking, if you're on a berry on it, it's really not going to die to any hit. Because it has pretty high defense and special defenses. Not the greatest HP, but if you just have max HP, you're probably living any one hit with a berry. And you're even taking a lot of hits normally anyway. It's also another very strong physical attacking one. It could be Choice Banded and be pretty problematic. It doesn't hit steals the best either, but it's okay. It has like Hammer and Earthquake. It has coverage, but it's fine. So I like this 6 a lot. I just want like a ground type or like an electric immunity. I guess Lantern would have been okay here. But yeah, 25 points for 4 to 6 Mons. And I'm pretty sure Lantern got picked in this next 18 pick wheel scenario there. Miltank also got picked. I feel like that would have been like a nice Mon, like a fire resist on this team because it's only Hydreigon in that role. Dradagon, similar thing, another rocker and a fire resist. Had like a kind of a Scald switch in, not really. I do have water resist, but I don't have like a Dracovish answer on this team, so maybe I'll get one later. But yeah, I really wanted a good ground type, and this ground type also beats Tornadus, so I wanted to make sure no one else got it. It was valued at 4 points in this. I'd probably draft it for like 6 points in standard, and that's Stunfisk. Stunfisk, for 4 points, I feel like it's great. And what I like about ground types in this gen are that they aren't 4 times weak to anything. So like, I love Rhyperior, but it being 4 times a week to like Scald from Raikou is pretty tough. And it doesn't take a lot of damage from Grass Knot. Like Mudstill takes decent damage from Grass Knot, but he can run a Rindo Berry and it's fine. Piloswine takes decent damage from Grass Knot, and you can't run a Rindo Berry, so it's kind of hard. Though it does have Ice Shard for like Thunderuses and such. Though I don't think any Thundurus was picked anyway. So Stunfisk might not be as useful because it really takes on those 2 mons in particular super well. But it handles a lot of electric types, like Zeraora would be a pretty decent answer for. So yeah, and it also dissuades U-turn spam on my team, because if you U-turn on a Stunfisk and get paralyzed, you're probably in not a great shape. This also handles Zapdos as well. It handles a lot of high-tiered electric mons and flying types, like Torn. So yeah, I'm pretty happy that I have it, and for 4 points, I can't really beat it. It's a third rocker, and honestly, at this point, I have weaknesses in my team, but I'm pretty content. I could have this 7, and I feel like I would still have a pretty okay record in this league. I like basically everything that this team provides. I feel like I had that I won on a draft. So now I just have to cover like niche instances of mons that could be problematic. But yeah, honestly, even between those first 6 that are in the center of the screen, I'd probably bring 5 every game. And then Stunfisk is probably the most common like 6th Pokemon to fill in. Like there might be a game where Hydreigon doesn't have a good fit or Metagross doesn't have a good fit. I honestly imagine that Torn, Clef, and Galar Slowking are coming every game. And then from there, probably 2 of Hydreigon, Mienshao, Metagross come to every game. And then Stunfisk probably is a decent bet for the 6th pick, or then between the next 3 to 5 picks, whatever the 6 mon is there, that like just fills in whatever specific instance that I really needed to. So yeah, I think I'm probably gonna go cheaper for the rest of the draft here, and get like a bunch of mons, because we can go up to 12, which is a lot. And if I go to 12, it's not gonna fit in this layout. So maybe that's a spoiler if I go for 12 or not. So yeah, ideally I could get like a Spiker. That would be cool in this slot. And I was debating between 2-point Roselia and 6-point Quillfish. Roselia, I feel like, was a decent value because I would spend like 4 or 5 points for Roselia. I think it's pretty solid as like a water answer and as a Spiker. And Quillfish, I probably spent like 6 points on, 6 or 7, and it was valued at 6. That's like okay value. Still both like tier 1 mons, like in my tiering. But I decided to go with a little bit of a more reliable Spiker in Quillfish. It does have Intimidate, which is nice. It has the option to run items. If there's a Rain matchup, I don't think anyone drafted Rain. I can run Swift Swim. Intimidate is like just an awesome ability if I want to lower attack. Pop a White Herb off a mon or something. It has Priority Aqua Jet if I need to. It has Explosion, which is a strong move. Spikes and T-Spikes, which are nice. Scald to get burns. Thunder Wave to slow stuff down. I really like a lot of things that Quillfish provides. I spent a little bit more points, and even though I could have probably gotten better value with Roselia for 2 points, I still have a lot of points left. 15 points left for 2 to 4 mons. So I'm pretty content with spending on Quillfish. And it's also a Fire Resist, which it's not the greatest Fire Resist, but it is a Fire Resist. And takes on Dracovish at least a little bit better. So, pick 9, I have 15 points left for 2 to 4 mons. So a couple things I wanted to patch up were a ground weakness. So like Zygarde is pretty problematic to my team. Because it'll hit Hydreigon and Torn. But even like Glanders hits my team hard if it has like Superpower or Stone Edge to honestly kill if they're like very offensive, kill Tornadus or kill Hydreigon. It's definitely problematic that even U-turn would be good for Hydreigon. So I definitely want a really solid third mon to ground resist. And Leo got Tangela, which would have been really nice. I probably would have drafted it in this spot. I want another fire resist because Quillfish isn't the best in that role. Hydreigon's not the best in that role. Though Quillfish is pretty solid as like a Darmanitan switch in. Not a good Victini switch in because it could run Psychic, obviously. I'd want a Ghost Resist in this team. Hydreigon's fine, but we are facing Dragapult at some point. And I do have Clef, which is fine for that role. but another one that maybe can handle that a little bit better. And another removal option, so that way Torn and Hydreigon don't always have to run Defog. I was pretty set on getting Snorlax plus Eldegoss in this spot. I ended up not going that route. I'm fine with going Eldegoss, but realistically, I don't know how often I'm going to bring it just for the case of running removal. It didn't seem like the best option. Honestly, I'm fine with them on, but not the best option. I'd rather probably just run Defog Hydreigon at that point. And Snorlax would have been a really nice 7th, but I would have been 10 Mons, which would have been fine. Probably made the team a little bit more predictable and would have made the team super slow. This team is definitely a little slower than my liking. I like 3 Mons that are like 100 or higher speed, over 100 speed, honestly. I'd like 3 Mons in that. So yeah, I'm not going to go down that path. And Snorlax ended up getting picked after me in between rounds, 9 and 10. So I guess I would have sniped someone, but that's okay. I went with a different normal that I would have paid like 5 or 6 points for in a normal draft league, and that's all I don't know. For 4 points, it's yet another regen mon, but it's really nice with heavy duty boots. It can take a lot of special hits. Like Nidoking, Nidoking could be a little problematic to this team. And now Audino is not the perfect answer to both, but it could definitely force Nidoking to run other coverage moves that it might not want to otherwise. So I'm pretty okay with that. Yeah, it's basically a special sponge that if Clefable doesn't want to take it on, Audino can. It can also wish, Healing Wish, so I could Healing Wish into something. I believe Clefable also gets Healing. It does get Healing Wish. I've run it before, but Audino is probably a better Healing Wish user anyway. But yeah, another Regen Mon can set up, I believe, fatter wishes than Clefable can. Heal Bell if Clefable doesn't want to run that role. It's basically a back of Clefable if Clefable wants to run more tricky sets, and Audino can run more of like a passive spread stuff around the team type of role. And adds on course, it's not the most passive mon in the world. And it's a John Jr. shout out mon, so I'm fine with that. So for pick 10, still need a ground resist, fire resist. I have my ghost resist here, I don't know, so I'm fine with that. It handles Dragapult, good enough. Yeah. Tangela would have been nice here, but again, Leo took it, and I'm not getting Maractus like he suggested. So my ground resist is going to be Rotom Frost. So it's not the best answer to Zygarde, not the best answer to Landorus either, honestly, because it could have superpower Stone Edge to kill me. But I could force it to maybe run Scarf because Scarf Rotom Frost is pretty nice with Blizzard. It hits pretty hard, like base 107 special attack, definitely nice, and it has pretty good bulk outside of the HP stat, which is low. But if you run like max HP boots, you're taking hits pretty well, and it's fast enough where you can fire off like a Will-O-Wisp on something, Pain Split, Volt Switch, Blizzard, Defog. Definitely nice options, and it's nice that it resists a Bolt Beam coverage. Takes on electric types pretty well if I don't run Stunfisk. So yeah, this was valued at 6 points. I'd pay 7 for it in like a standard draft league. So this was also my tier 1 of mons. So pick 11, still looking for a fire resist. I would have considered Barbarical Magmar for these last 2 slots pretty heavily, but Magmar was actually taken by Aquarius, I believe, like pick 11. So I can't go down that route. And Magmar would have been nice for like 1 or 2 mons in particular that I'm pretty weak to, and I'm still kind of weak to, but we'll figure it out anyways. Also would have considered Lapras as just an overall pretty bulky mon, even though I already got Rotom Frost, just have another Ice mon, but another better answer to like Dracovish. But that was also taken by Madochet, but I sniped Aldino from him, so I guess that makes up for it. Not really. I'm sure he wanted Aldino more than I wanted Lapras, but I actually don't go for a fire type resist now. I'll get in my 12th pick, but I go for Girder. Girder for 3 points is like crazy. I'd go for it 5 points in a standard draft. Bulk up, has defog now. It just takes a lot of physical hits really well. Like, this can be my Zygarde answer. Like, Zygarde's not doing a ton, and I have Ice Punch. It's like Zygarde can't really beat Girder, unless if it's like maybe weakness policy or something for Ice Punch, but it's going to take a lot of damage from Ice Punch plus Mach Punch. So you'd have to watch out for that. But yeah, no, I really like Girder on this team. Just like a physically defensive mon. Not a lot of mons on my team really just are like a flat out physically defensive mon, because Quillfish doesn't have the stats for it. And Clefable doesn't really have the stats for it either. Girder has the stats to take it on with the Violite. So my last pick for 2 points, Fire Resist, shout out to Matty Brolick, Caracosta. For 2 points, it could also Shell Smash Week, but I really like having speed setup options. I have speed setup options in Metagross, but I like a more reliable option that can set a speed any other attack or special attack, like a Covert Dance user or Shell Smash user. So Caracosta fits that role pretty well. I think it outspeeds base 110s at +2 speed. So it's not the fastest thing in the world, but it could definitely suffice. And also it's Aqua Jet. But it also has 30 plus boots. So you could always live a hit, and then Caracosta comes in and maybe Revenge kills something. So if I'm super weak to something, I could set up and sweep my team. At least I could have Caracosta with boots in the back to guaranteed live a hit and go for a Toxic or go for a Stone Edge and an Aqua Jet afterwards. So I definitely have options there. So yeah, I think it's a cool option here. The team is still a little bit slow, but I'm pretty content with the Pokemon I have on this team. And hopefully I could do this team well like Vepsis. I got to repay the favor of his NCP run last season. It was kind of cut short, so we're going to run that team back basically with this. So if you guys like this video, consider giving a thumbs up. Probably a longer team builder here, but it's a pretty competitive league, so I wanted to explain my thought process on everything. If you have any questions about this draft or what you think about it, comment below. If you want to join a front office, you can also comment below with a Discord link, or you can reach me out on Twitter. I have a couple people there. I haven't really done it a front office before. I just talked to a couple people in a server that I'm in and asked for help there. But I do have a server actually for this league dedicated for mocks and such. So if you, like, even depending on whatever your skill level is, if you're like pretty experienced or not that well experienced, I'll take you on and I can show you the ropes about my thought process. So it should be a pretty good learning opportunity too if you wanted to join the server. So yeah, let me know. But yeah, until next time, later guys.